What individual had the greatest influence on your wrestling career?
Well, I'm touching base on it tonight in my speech. It's a guy named Jeff Hardy. He was a brother of a teammate when I started wrestling. He was an Ohio State finalist and eventually became NCAA All-American at Ohio University.
That's awesome. Who was your wrestling idol or hero?
Dan Gable. I grew up in the Dan Gable. I'm, way before a lot of these guys getting inducted. I'm probably the oldest one here, but yeah, Dan Gable was my idol.
Schenk said the same. Schick said the same thing.
Yeah.
Schenk and Schick.
There you go.
What personal attributes or abilities contributed the most to your success?
I wasn't always the best athlete, but I was fortunate to have the opportunity to witness people that trained harder than most people think is realistic, and being able to build a template of what champions train helped me develop that that work ethic. That if you, in the sport of wrestling, I always considered, you got athletes and they do really well, and you got technicians that do really well, and if you get an athlete and a technician and then someone that outworks everybody, that's where the opportunity for success is just great. So it's like putting it all together and trying to outwork your opponents.
That's awesome. What is the most outstanding memory you have as a competitor in the sport of wrestling?
Well, I thought about this, and I have three different. I have one as a high school when I won the state title at Edison Community College. It was like finally you reach your goal, and then that was being Tarpon's first state champ and then doing that. And then when I punched my All-American ticket at UCF was outstanding. Was one of those moments. And then in the Masters, when I won my overtime match in the semis and made the World Finals.
That's awesome. Great memories there. Throughout your wrestling career, is there a single most memorable match or event that you were part of?
Well, yeah, there are. And one of them was in the Masters. I was wrestling another American in the medal round to get in for the bronze medal. And all three USA coaches sat in his corner. I had Steve Contarino, who's an awesome guy. Steve Contarino sat in my corner, and it kind of gave me a little fire. I was like, wait a minute. And I asked Steve, I go, what's up with this? And he said, they think he's going to win. And that was the motivation I needed, and I ended up winning the match 8-6. And it was
fantastic.
Yeah.
What made you get involved in the sport of wrestling?
This is in my speech tonight, but I'll touch base on it right now. After 7th grade football up in Ohio, we have opportunity I wanted to play winter sport, either basketball or wrestling. I chose basketball. But after 2 weeks of practice and one game, the coach came up to me and said, Schenk, I think you need to wrestle. I guess I had too many fouls or something, and the next day he led me to the wrestling room.
That's awesome. If you had the opportunity to start your career over again, is there anything you would change?
Not really. I don't think so. I've been very blessed. This is an individual award, like everybody says, but I've been fortunate to have coaches. My high school coach, Chris Pappas, and my dad, Ed Schenk, was one of my high school coaches. And then Freestyle and Greco, I had Bob Walker and Junior Hudson, J.R. Hudson, who's up in Chicago now. And then college, Pat Cucci and John Rouse. And I've been blessed to be circled with people that have made me better.
That's awesome. So in conclusion, what would you like for people to remember about you?
I think it's just, this is another one that's in my speech tonight. Henry Ford, Henry Ford had a quote that says, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right. So I try to teach my kids when I coach wrestling and everything that, it's between the ears is where the battle is. And once you start believing in yourself, you're going to succeed to the level of your training.
That's awesome. Well said. Well, I appreciate you sitting down with me, and congratulations.
Thank you for the opportunity.
No problem.